is Lucky Robin, and I thought I'd talk to you today about picking blueberries and how to make your yield as high as it can be and how to make it as easy as possible on yourself, because it can be hard, and if you're disabled like I am, there's some tricks that you can use to make it a little bit easier on your body. So first off, you want to make yourself a berry picking bucket of some sort. You can use, like I have here, a half-gallon ice cream bucket or a coffee can with a couple holes drilled in it. Now I've just got a piece of twine off a hay bale from my rope, and you do want it to be long. You want it to be long like this, and there's a purpose. So you poke a couple holes, or you drill a couple holes if you're using a coffee can, and you want to thread it through on the inside and tie a knot on either side so that your rope won't slip through. And then on this end you tie knots as well, because the stuff will start to fray and unravel after several uses. So you just want to prevent that from the beginning. Okay, so you want to take this, you want to put it up at your waist. You don't want to have it down low on your hips, because if you have it down low on your hips, you're going to have a lot of low back pain going on while you're picking, and that's not good as the bucket gets heavier and heavier. So you take it from the front, wrap it around yourself once, and then in the front, and you want to tie it in the front. And this just secures it much better and keeps it from pulling down so hard on you. Now, one of the things, if you can keep your chickens and your turkeys and ducks out of the area, I would advise it. But because they share this area, I'm not going to do that. Another thing you could do is you can put a tarp down if you don't have the birds in here. Then that way anything that you drop will land on the tarp, and you will drop a lot because that's just the nature of picking blueberries. You drop because the branches like to clump together, and you're just going to end up dropping some from time to time. There's just no real way to prevent that. So if you don't want to lose those berries, the good ones, that fall, yeah, put a tarp down. Now, another good reason for having the bucket wrapped around your waist instead of having it in one hand is you're free to use both hands, and it goes a lot faster. If you're picking up berries, like holding a bucket like this, you're basically picking them one at a time, or you might be lucky enough to be able to figure out how to pick them, but you're going to be dropping just one-handed picking. There's a lot of dropping if you're one-handed picking, and it's much slower. But if you can hold up the berries with one hand and roll them off with your thumb into your hand, you go a lot faster. Now, if you have good clusters and not a lot of green berries in them, you can also use both hands to cradle your cluster like this, and use both thumbs and roll it down into your hands, and then you have a smaller chance of dropping. But that only works if there's not a lot of green or pink berries in there. So for the majority of what I pick here is going to be using this, where you hold it with the one hand and you roll with the thumb into the palm of the other hand. Now, it's better to take more trips to your bucket with your hand, because you can very easily drop them. Again, they're round, they roll, they're gonna fall. It's better to make multiple trips this way to then drop them to lose them, especially if you can't put a tarp down. Okay, if you can manage it, some bad ones, always look at the berries from the top, because from the bottom they'll look blue, but they tend to ripen from the bottom up, and so you can be picking them and then you're going to realize, oh, these aren't completely ripe, and now I have a bunch of berries in my bucket that just are not, you know, ones that I want to eat or save. They'll be tart. They're not horrible to eat, but you want the nice, juicy, sweet ones. You don't, if you're picking the blueberries, you don't want super tart berries. You want the ones that are nicely ripe and fat and plump. All right, you want to get into your bush. There's a lot that grows in the center, and a lot of people just don't go into the centers of their bushes, and you will miss out on the harvest that's in here, under here, underneath, down low, up top, and you need to go at your branches from more than one side. Now you can pick all of this and think, oh, that's done, but then you come back over here and you go, oh, wait, there's a lot more, and then you go lift it up and you go, oh, and then you pull it down and you think, go, oh, yeah, if you just done the one side thinking it was done, you've probably missed out on 3/4 of the berries on your bush. And yeah, you might come back in a couple days and see those and pick them, but you might not. And it could be a case where all of the local crows get into your tree and you've missed all of those berries that you would have been able to put up for the winter if you had just moved your branches around. So another tip is to just stay in your one spot. Don't gravitate around the tree or bush several times. Just stay there, pick until it's clean. Pick until you've got all of the blueberries off the one section, that one branch, and then you move to the next branch. But you stay in that area until that whole segment is done. When you wander around the tree, you're going to pick the cream of the crop, and then you're not going to want to pick the dregs. But if you pick it all at once and you move it around, you're picking the good with the bad, and it just makes it an easier experience. And you get, well, I say bad, you're picking the good with the harder to deal with. Rather, they're all good berries. So it's just I don't know. I grew up in the berry fields in the summers. That's how I earned my spending money. And so many of the other kids were so lazy. And they didn't earn like I did. And they couldn't understand why I earned so much and how I got so much more off of one berry bush than they did. And it's just because they didn't look. And then they'd get sent back by the field boss to do their bush over again, and they were left with the crummy parts of the tree because they just didn't do it all at the same time. And and I would earn enough, well, between strawberries, raspberries, and blueberries, I would earn enough for spending money for my entire year for all of my school clothes. And usually for one big ticket item like a 10-speed bike or really nice watch. When I was really young, like when I was 9 years old, I earned enough to buy myself a really nice watch, my school clothes, and spending money for the year. So, and a lot of my friends earned $30 that entire summer, where I put away $300 to $400 when I was 9. So it's just a question of knowing the tips and using them and getting the yield you want off of your trees, bushes. I always call them trees because they're so big. I know that they're technically bushes. Okay. Another tip, and I think it's an important one, is you don't want to pick at dawn or dusk. I know that is the cool part of the day, and it is super tempting, and your chickens will be in bed, and they won't be at your feet harassing you for berries. But berries will look blue at dawn and dusk that are not blue. This is where you'll find the ones that are very pink tinged still on top, but you won't notice until you've picked them and they're in your bucket, and that's just a waste. Another tip is to not necessarily pick all of the ripe blueberries if they are small. They will size up if you leave them on for a few more days. However, you have to weigh that against the problems you have with birds. If you have a lot of crows or sparrows or anything that's going to get into your bushes, then leaving the stuff particularly that's up on the top and that's on the outsides to size up can be, you know, well, it can be a crapshoot. You're either lucky or you're not. You either lose them or you don't. So a lot of times if I have a lot of ripe berries on top, I will pick those ones on top. I will pick the most obvious ones on the outside, and then I will take and I will leave the underside ones and the ones that are more in the interior, and I will leave those ones to size up. And that's just kind of, you know, a trade-off there, and it seems to work for me. Another tip I got, berry fields, and I don't use this one myself now because I can't climb anymore, but is to build yourself a 1-inch square box out of heavy duty plywood, and then you have a box that you can sit down on and that you can stand up on. So you can sit down on to do the lower ones, and then you can stand up to do the higher ones. It gives you a place to rest while you're doing those lower ones without having to bend down and hurt your back, and you get up and you can climb up and get the top ones, not necessarily have to pull them down and risk splatting yourself in the face when the branches fly back up, which happens. Alright, so just from this one section right here, not moving, just picking on top, underneath, and both sides and through the center, I have collected this many berries. So you really got to look around, and you can get a lot more off your tree than you think you can. Okay, one of the things that will save your back is having another container to pour your bucket into. I like to do it when it gets about 1/4 of the way full. And then it just takes the pressure off of having that weight hanging at your waist. And then if you do have your birds back here with you, you want to cover up what you're pouring it into, because they can jump up on tables and they can get into your bucket of berries. Right, Gina? I'm looking at you. So anyway, those are some tricks to make it easier to pick and to make your yields better in your own yard, but also even if you're going out to pick. These will help. Alright, talk to you later.